And thank you all for being here with us this morning for the second session of Finding Your Way Home, a genealogy workshop series with Dr. Althea Sumpter. Dr. Sumpter is an ethnographer, a researcher, a historian, a producer, and wears so many different hats in our Gullah Geechee corridor, including being a former commission chair for the Gullah Geechee corridor. So I'm not going to prolong the time. This is a continuation from session one, but we look forward to talking deeper with you all that may have questions about session one later on. But Dr. Sumpter is going to jump in with a recap, and then we're going to move right into the next session. Thank you so much, Dr. Sumpter. Take it away.
Thank you, Angel. It is so great to see, or I've heard that there are about 90 something people who've signed on for this particular session. And which means that about 40 or so people are new to this session. And I thought that I would just do a quick refresh from our last session, but it's based on going through the handbook that the workbook that I provided for this series of workshops. And many of you should have received that by email when you registered in, and I think Angel will be able to provide that. But for those who receive the book, it's always good to print it out, and some of the reference pages 3 and 4 and 5, and then the resource list is the links are available to be activated. You can see the blue item, and you can activate it by clicking on the link, and it takes you directly to the information, to the website that's referenced there. So I'm going to go through. And there may be a lot of questions as I go through. Please write them down or write them in the chat, because in the last half hour, we're going to have a Q&A, and I'll be able to answer questions at that time. I thought it would be best to just continue through with this session, first with the notebook, because of the refresher component. But please do put down, write down any questions, any notes that you may want to go through, because sometimes people may say that I've gone through too fast. Well, I'm trying to, I'm doing a version of the workshop that I normally do for individuals. And so what I normally do was to spend more time with the individual and go through the details of information. But with this session, there's so much information that I have available that I parsed out just enough to help you get started. And that's what session one did. And with this session, like I said, I'm going to do a quick review, and then we're going to go through, and I'm going to continue forward with items I'm going to introduce you to at this time. So I do a share screen, and please abide by my going through and doing some share screen, because I do have some materials that I try to incorporate. And all right, now this is the item that the cover page for the workbook. And so you should see this particular information at the front page of your workbook. It does have my contact information, and it also has my website, which is altheasumpter.com. And I'll continue through to page 3, as I mentioned, and to collect materials. Now, I've gone through detailed explanation in session 1 about each one of these items. But to give you a general idea about this particular page, you look through everything within your family and about your life and stories that you know. Some people may say, oh, that sort of thing. Oh, we don't know how, if that information or that story is true. Remember every story that you've been told, especially by an elder, because there is always some kind of fact within the storytelling. In my culture, Gullah Geechee people love to tell stories and sit around and we call it telling a lie. So it's one of those things where you say, well, come on, you got to tell that lie, right? And lie means, that's the storytelling. Let's hear something. And there's so much that I remember from the elders in my family, my grandfather, grandmother, all of that sort of stuff, sitting around and they're talking away, and I'm glued to what they're telling. I mean, here it is. I'm a little child listening to everything. I hung out more with the elders than with my own age group. I learned so much from them. And with that, I have been able to go back into history, verify some information, and also link people to the information. Now, I do want, I've been seen or described as a genealogist. At my earlier years, I did work for the South Carolina State Archives back in late 70s, early 80s, my grad school job. And the amazing thing about an archives is the way that documents are preserved, what documents are preserved, which led me to understand that we can track a lot of information. And I've mentioned before, do not say anything about, well, we're Black or we're this and that and whatever and can't find anything. No, never, ever, ever say that unless you've tried. Because, and I've mentioned this in the first session, that every ethnicity on the planet arrived into this country, majority of the population arrived after 1870. African, European, Asian, after 1870. So those who were before 1870 or the smaller population group, sure, a lot of others, but you also have within that, where lots of Blacks said we were all enslaved. No, some 500,000 of the ones who were enslaved, who were never enslaved, 250,000 of that 500,000 free people lived in the South. They're Southerners, lived in the South, free people. So the idea of you're Black, then you must have been enslaved is not true. So if your family, it was even in this country. So it's always good to go through within your own household. You start from the household, you start from the home of your elders. And I've gone through as well this whole thing about people going, why are you picking up? Why are you picking that up? Why are you looking at that? Why are you looking at this and such? That's mine, that's mine, that's mine. If I did not look at and find the items, I would not have been able to find materials that in my family that goes back into the 1800s. Pieces of paper, every little piece of paper can become that information, that dot, dot, dot to the next person, the next piece of history. And I go through each item, art, the environment is where a person may live inside and also outside of the house. Folkways and foods, what do you eat? What did your family cook? They're all heritage links to an origin place. And history is important. Now, I say, I know genealogy, but I am also an historian. I'm a humanities scholar. I lay the history of a people on the link of family. So every person lived a place. There's an historical connection to that place, what they did, what kind of organization they may have been a part of, what church, and anything you find that links that person to a specific history, a place, and time, you can search for that specific information for that place, that organization as well. I've had amazing surprises over the period of time I have done this work. So the same thing goes for each item that you see on the list in terms of language and literature and music. And I say religion and spirituality. Religion I define as an institution that is created to support the beliefs of a group of people. And then spirituality is a faith of the individual that is based on their own spiritual connection. So I put the two together because they're two sides of the same of the person's faith and beliefs. But the items that you have in terms of things to search, collect absolutely everything. You never know when you are going to find that piece of information that gives you a name, a place, a history. And that's what the particular list of items happen to be. Now, whenever you go through all of these things, you have to make sure that, well, I have gone through, like I mentioned a little bit ago, some difficulty with family members saying mine, 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 and you're going to encounter that. So it's always good to have family know what you're doing, make people in the family partners with what you're doing. And that way you have an understanding that someone has to tell the story of the family. And never say that, oh, we're not important. Every family, every person is important. I have had too many surprises in what I've been able to help people do, where all of a sudden their story is linked to somebody 200 years beforehand. Someone from this point, and they find that their relative, their Black relative, was a Revolutionary War veteran, and there was a grave site and a headstone. They had no idea. So you can go through this list and try to find ways to collect items. And every item that you collect, find a way to, and this is what I'm going to go through further in a moment, is to come up with bins, folders, filing systems and such, some way to protect what you use, or what you find. Any original document that you come across, scan it or take a picture of it. Put the original in some kind of protective sleeve or binder, and make a copy though, so that you can write on it. Make copies of the originals so that you can take notes, write on it, use it as a tool for you to highlight information that becomes critical. Now, you'll see on this personal background information, and whenever you do any kind of oral history, these are the areas that you want to go through and ask a person. Now, I'm going to just go, pass forward on this, but there's information on how to, because I want to get through this online resources list. There are 3 pages of the resources that I've compiled, and this is just general information for you to take a look and search. And a lot of this information is free. It's available. It's free. Ancestry is not. There may be some times where I think the first 2 weeks happens to be free, or that there may be some kind of a special what is it item, a way to have access to Ancestry. But I always start people off with Family Search. Family Search is free. Family Search, you want to go through to find a lot of family members. It is the same sort of information than as Ancestry. Ancestry may have more information because they're constantly digitizing additional information. Volunteers go through and help to compile data, compile information, do updates. A lot of volunteers work for organizations to help to scan and what do you call index, meaning that they take the information and type them out so that you can read it. And the next item that I have people go through and to always use as a resource is Family Tree Magazine. I'm going to show you as a refresher some of the items, but on Family Tree, and just so you can understand how much of a resource that you're going to be able to get. But I want to also reference one other item real fast, is LDS Genealogy. This is the Church of Latter-day Saints, because that has this item or compiled family search, family tree. And one thing that's recent that's recent is that Ancestry and Family Tree, or the LDS, have started working together. Other items I'm going to refer to the Chronicling America later, but these are just general resource institutions that you should always refer to and try to see if your relative's name come up. There are so many documents out there. You never know where a relative's name is going to show. So Library of Congress is always a place to go. National Archives, and then the Smithsonian. Those 3 institutions especially are the places that's their job to compile, to digitize, to hold on to everything that exists. So you have books, Library of Congress, every publication, every kind of photograph or recordings and such. National Archives is where all US government documents reside. And the Smithsonian is just one of as you see, the largest museum, educational, and research complex in terms of trying to preserve a lot of heritage. So you go through these and see what you can find. But first off, I'm going to go through and see, you can see where I'm clicking on. This is where you have the PDF that you can just highlight that, and I'm going to just click on Family Tree. I'm going to show you what it in a moment, but I'm also going to click on LDS. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to switch to that screen. I'm going to switch to the LDS screen because, well, I want to also click on Family Search. And I'll show you what these 3 locations, these 3 items are all about. So first I'm going to show you, I'm going to go to LDS. So like I said, a lot of information to show. So I'm going to, sorry, LDS. Now the LDS, and when you're looking for information, LDS genealogy, a lot of information, a lot of resources. You come to this first page, but here, learning genealogy takes you to this other page that has links for a lot of ways to information on how to, we have locating records, how to locate records. You can see articles, a lot of articles on how to find an obituary for your ancestors, how to search for, every ancestor. Once you can also, this is Family Tree Magazine. You can also sign up to become a member, and you'll get newsletters every day. You can pick and choose whichever item that you want. But each one of these each one of these little blocks goes to another section of resources, these articles, finding your immigrant ancestor. A lot of those of African descent are from listed. I've seen and I've found not only naturalization records, but also the actual ship that those of African descent came on. And I'm talking about after 1870. And so you have a lot of information, everything, all documents are kept. All documents are available, unless the only reason you can't find something is if it burned up somehow or other, or was in a flood. Other than that, like I said, never say just because of of being being Black, or that you can't find anything. Never ever say the documents are not there. And so now I want you go through and explore LDS genealogy. You'll see on the side as well 10 free useful websites, and so you just explore this. Now the next item is the family tree. This is an extension of LDS. Family tree is also free. You can become a member, and you can get, materials. Like I said, this is where you can get daily information sent to you. And it continues, and it just explore, but free resources. And I click on any one of these items, and it's going to take me to a lot of other items as well. Census worksheets. I want to give you a link as well to these items, the census worksheets. I'm going to show you these particular items where you can go through and find a worksheet for each of the census areas. Sorry, I always get these little pop-up things, but you'll see how much information is there. 48 ancestry.com search tips, 30 family history writing prompts, recording of it. So explore this. And you see, this is only one item. Under here, we have DNA and heritage, the heritage of all of these people, explaining DNA. So yeah, go to Family Tree Magazine. It's free. Websites. All right. Now, the other item I have listed here is where we go to family search. Now, I didn't sign on beforehand because, a lot of these things have a time limit in terms of, we have to go through, and yeah, this is like I said, this is free. It'll cancel you out by the time that you have, you've within a few minutes, and it says, are you sure you want to continue, or no, we're going to, shut off everything. So I'm going to go and sign into my account. Yeah, it's, and show you a couple of items, because what I do is I search for information. I search for the information, but I do not save. Me personally, I do not save to the online. I like to download information, pull things off, and oops. All right. Pull things off and then save them on my computer, or I save them to print them off, or what have you. But it's a matter of trying, sorry, just trying to sign on here. Just give me just a moment, but I'm going to continue talking about if you do create what do you call a timeline, you can and want to share with other relatives in terms of your search, you can then create that grid that you've seen before, you've seen with others. Now, this is, you have to excuse me because, I'm a person who all of a sudden, I have a lot. I have a lot of websites and links and such. All right. I'm going to show you my family search. Now, this is family search. This is where it opens up. And where I have not created a family tree. You can build your own family tree, and it shows you how to. And then, from there, you can create something that is going to look like, this is where you can create each item, each block. And you've seen, for example, if you're familiar with Henry Louis Gates' Finding Your Roots, you've seen all of these sorts of grids and such, the different types of grids. And this is me. Oops, I probably should not show my when I was born. But the way that I use this search, there are different ways that you can create a grid and share it with people. But you have these options. What I do is I search for names. And I'm going to, I've done this before. My grandfather, and he's from St. Helena. And I like to do the entire name. You see, it's going to even help you and ask you, where in the world is St. Helena? And you tell it where. And look, it gives you options. So I'm going to just click on the first one. And then I'm going to, well, let me see. I'm not sure. I know his date, but just to kind of go, I'm not sure. Let's see what it comes up with. Just that information. A lot of information. A lot is good. 796 hits. And you go through and go, whoa, wait, how many people? You try to figure out who is who, what is going on here, how many people. So if you can narrow down the search and put in here the spouse, father, mother, any kind of detail. And see, here's the thing. Anytime you see a blue item, anything, click on it and it expands or give more information. But I'm going to go through and like, all right, Harry Sumpter, I asked for, but it says Harry Sumpter in this census. Harry Sumpter, birth 19, a lot of, like I said, a lot of information. Oh, he's not from Richland, South Carolina, so that's not the correct Harry Sumpter. Oh, wait, let's see. Oh, Harry Sumpter. Oh, look at that. That's my grandmother. That's the woman he married. So there has to be something here. What does this one have? And there is a document. And it has an interesting item in terms of some Social Security reference, but giving more detail. And we have though, oh, alias John Sumpter, Johnny Sumpter. It linked on Johnny Sumpter. Oh, that's my uncle. That's one of his children. And yeah, this is correct in terms of father's name, my grandmother's name, and gives the death date though when my uncle died, John Sumpter. So you go through and click on, like I said, any kind of link, you click on it. But I want to click on this, Rosetta. Oh, wait, let's see. There's an arrow. You click on that. All right, so it does confirm the information, but you have Rosetta Mitchell. All right, let's see where Rosetta Mitchell takes what information. Oh, it says a repeat of that. Okay, so in order to then, I don't want that document, let me try and find something else. Go and take the back arrow, that you can see the back arrow, and then you can either add more information to this, or you can see what else is there. And here is Beaufort, South Carolina, Thomas Sumpter. What is Thomas Sumpter? That's the name of another name for Harry Sumpter's son, another son. That's another uncle. Let's see what comes up there. And yes, this is correct. Alias is Harry. That's my uncle's name. And it has Find a Grave. And this is where his burial. And yes, he is buried this is the place he's buried, St. Helena Memorial Gardens. So you see information, it's like, oh, look, I found this, I know where this is, but this gives you an idea about how to track information, how to find information. If you want to, see, you can attach the family tree, which will compile a lot of the documents, or you can also then you can save this document. I have a Find a Grave thing, but I'm not going to go through Find a Grave. There are at least 5 different organizations and such that's associated with family search, just as it does with Ancestry. And through Ancestry, I have all of these activated, but through family search, you can see I'm going to I don't have it activated. So you can copy full record and it goes to your computer, or you can print the record and then you can print it or save it as save it as a PDF so that you can always have an electronic version of that. So I also want you to understand that once you get started doing this, I do not want anyone, and I said this in the first session, I do not want anyone to blame me for your being awake at 3 o'clock in the morning still going through some details, some names, some person or whatever, because that will happen. Next thing you know, you hadn't eaten since lunch. Yes, you can get incredibly involved because you saw how I just went through one person and clicked the link on another. Imagine how many people in your family, how many names you can then type in and try to see what documents there are. I already have for Harry Sumpter and Thomas Sumpter, I have their census information that goes back, a few decades. And you can go through, this will tell you a lot of information for each decade. And if I can, I'm going to show you real fast what the census information looks like when you come across it. So I went through Harry Sumpter. Here's a 1940 census. This is what I'm talking about in terms of it's indexed. Somebody went through and typed all of the information that is on the actual original document. It gives you all of the details. And see, I know everything here. I said, oh man, Morgan River, I know these places. This is White Church Road, Cohen Creek. The details on here is amazing. And once again, you see, Rosetta Sumpter, her age in 1940. And you'll see the children. Jenny Sumpter, you saw earlier where it said Johnny. Oh, the information is only as good as the census taker can, he can hear the person and spell it however it is, they hear it. So Jenny, it was Johnny. You click on it and it gives you more details. You click on, here's Isaiah, and it gives you more details. Here's my dad. So it gives you the details. That's the thing. He's age 16 in 1940. So my aunt. So I'm showing you some of my family members, right? Because that information came from this original document. Yes, it click on that. It's going to show you what the original document looks like. And yes, you can save it. So on the sidebar, you will see a reference to what is on that document once again. And on that, you're going to see the index information because of every person on that page. The census takers go door to door. I know of these people. They are next door. That's next door. That's their, this is in the same house. And here, these are folks who are, I know, I've grew up with these Eddings and such. These are folks who are in the neighborhood where I grew up. This is where I grew up. These are all the neighbors. Here they are again. All of the family. Oh man, Mr. Sam Brown, I know all of these. This is their family. It's just, 2 houses down across the field. Same thing here. But here is the original document. And you can go through, you can expand it. You can see the details. I know it's kind of hard. And that's why people go through and index. Here's Sam Brown, a reference. Okay. Oh, here is my grandmother. Oh, she's the head of household. Wait, in 1970, she's the head of household. So what happened to her? I mean, in this sentence, the head of household at this. So what happened to her husband? That's an interesting thing. So she's the head of household. Here's her son, Isaiah, and Edward, my dad, and Marguerite, daughter, son. And so all of the details about their life, I'm going to expand it, happens to be in this information. Now it's like, how am I going to go through and try to remember what's in each one of these columns? Oh, I'm going to show you what you can do next with trying to figure out what's in each one of these columns so that you do not have to go through up here all the time and try to read the fine print. Because it tells you in here, if a person is born in the US and what state or not, And if a person is born in another country, it's going to tell you the information. And that's why I say, the information in terms of where a person came from is there in the census. So that's just a quick look at that. I'm going to show you now how to go through and find out where these items, the details on these items, so that you don't, have to squint and try to, like I said, sort out how to get to these information, because, and see, I have more links. I have, if you saw my links of genealogy information and such, it'll drive you crazy. But one thing I do want to share, and I think I did send this out the last time or earlier in the week, or the last session. And but if not, I want to have you see that you can print off a lot of information by going to and I'm going to reference. All right. And we have, first off, and I don't know how I can maybe give you this information. I don't know if this goes into a chat or not. Let's see if it can. I just sent this link into a chat. United States Census. There is you can see all the way till the first one, 1790. I think I did one for 1940 for my that as an example. Well, here's everything that's on top. Here's everything. It's listed. You can copy this off, print it off. And as you go through and trying to, look at each one of those columns, just make a reference. It goes from, as you go down, here's all the information from the top. So you have this. It's always interesting to say number of children ever born. I know that my grandmother had 13 pregnancies. 6 children lived. And so this is where they said, okay, how many are born? Sure, some were born, and I found the vital statistics records for at least a couple of children. One son lived for about 6 months, and a daughter lived for about 3 years. They would be in this listing, number of children ever born. The children that you saw listed with my grandmother, those are the ones who lived into later in their life and into adulthood. And that's where you can click on, look, this 2020. You remember in 2020 when you did the census? Here are the questions asked. This is information. I print off all of this information. Now, just to make sure, everybody knows, or we have information that in 1890, this is the only census that is not available any longer because it burned in a fire. But you can see what was asked. And what's always interesting is where race, remember, race is a contrivance. There is no such thing as race. It is a created entity to categorize people by economics, social structure, and there is no such thing. That's why you'll hear me say heritage or ethnicity. But in each one of these census, the years, you can see how the references change. White, black, mulatto, quadroon, octoroon, Chinese, Japanese, or Indian. And now, oh yeah, that's right. And we get into 1900, and we have, just an example, color or race: white, black, Chinese, Japanese, American Indian. It continues and changes and changes and changes. So that's why, this stuff is contrived. Here is the site, and I'm going to put this information in the chat as well for you to link to. But you can download a copy. What did we do? We did 19, a copy of the actual census, the blank form, and use it as a guide. You can fill in the blank. You can fill in the information, print it off, and fill in the information as you go along. And this is the way you can use the resource. You can use your, a lot of the paperwork that is available online. A couple other documents that is available through, see, I said, I'm going to pile you up with a lot of information, and just write your questions down. But anyway, I'm going to then have you see one of the items that you can find on Ancestry, and on Family Tree, an article. See, I'm going to just tell you, you can do a search on Family Tree magazine, and you can see, I'm pulling it up, and because you want to find, there are 3 articles I'm going to show you. You want to type in 10 essential family history search forms in Family Tree. 10 essential family history research forms. Because what that is going to give you will be more blanks, blank documents that you can print off and you can fill in. Fill in the information. And I hope you can see this all right, because sometimes I'm gonna raise this up just a little more. And you can fill in all the information, 5 generations, print off, write it, just write it. Use, the documents that you see where it's all nice and pretty and finalized, that's after years of doing the research, years of lots of paper. And so this genealogy uses a lot of paper. It's another thing that uses a lot of paper, and you're up all night and you forget to eat. But these 10 essential forms gives you blanks. You download them, gives you blanks for each type of research component or supporting documents that you want. Ancestor, you have the name, social security number, nicknames, and such for each individual. Yeah, you're going to end up with what? You have 100 people in your family, you're going to end up with 100 pieces of paper. Paper for each one, or you're going to end up with 10 for each one. But records checklists, this is what I also do in terms of a paper. Did I go through and find their information? Did I find their professional license? Did they have a professional license? Did I go through burial records? Did I go through the census? Did I go through anything dealing with the court records, estate inventories? Even criminal records. Everything you see on this particular page exists. If a person is associated with any of these items, their paperwork happens to be there. Citizenship papers, alien registration cards, you have military records, where I also, there's a link, and I'm going to show that to you, try to show that to you today or the next session, where you have the links, the registry, the veterans listing for all of the colored troops during the Civil War, all of the veteran records for that. So this continues. And this, in terms of this particular article, go to Family Tree, type in and do a search for the article, and you're going to get worksheets for you to go through, fill in names, even an oral history interview worksheet. And here is a thing that is very helpful: your ancestor's name, and you check off each decade that you may have found that person's census. You know, I had Harry Sumpter. I know he was born in 1880s. And so I know that he was like at least 1900, 1910. And so he was, so this is a document. It stops at 1950, because 1950 is just released. The census was just released. There is a period of time, 70 years, and I think it's about 70 years for each census to be released. And it gives a time for any person to have passed, and so that there isn't any kind of document that, you know, tells too much about their lives and somebody gets upset. You know, oh, did they have that other child? Wait a minute, why? Who is that in that house? Yes, that does happen. And another document that search onto Family Tree, because this is going to reference a lot of the information I already mentioned. A lot of the information I mentioned about how, when you find items, you know, those first list that I showed you on page 3, you have to figure out how to preserve these things. Well, this, you know, so you have an article that helps you go through safely store old journals and diaries. Yes, how to. Record your own experiences. Yeah, you can do that. I've started with my own story and go, oh, okay, let me see. If you see, I started with my name, then I start everything from there. When people give you information back and forth, emails, social media, I've gotten emails from stories that people tell, oh, let me tell you, this is such and such happened, and this person, I went, oh man, look at that. Oh, I'm saving that. Now, when it comes to diaries and journals and gifts and such, journals, especially journals, I have my mother's journal when she was younger. I have to remember that my mother was an individual. She lived her own life. She had her own experience, and I have to see her life as that. Her secrets, her stories, what she experienced, it is the story and experience of that person. You know, and so you separate yourself out as like, oh my God, she did what? Oh no, I can't believe she, no, that's her story, her life. And I have letters that goes back decades. I saved everything. I have bins. I have file folders, swinging folders in those bins and such. I have letters. I have documents. And so this is the thing is, you know, you go through and it tells you how to save items. And then you go through how to okay, and I have going to go to the next thing, and how to organize keepsakes. And so you go to, like, okay, go to Family Tree, how to organize your family keepsakes and collections. Search for the article, download it, copy it off. You can do that, because it's going to go through, once again, details on how to keep things, newspaper clippings, old scrapbooks, address books. Yes, address books. With address books, you can still look for the address, go on to Google Maps search, see if that location still exists. A lot of it still exists. There is another person who was able to find a house that a relative lived in that existed, and it's still there, and it's a historic house. It's still there. It goes into the 1800s, early 1800s. Yeah, Black people. Yeah, free people. Yeah. There's dress. And what you can do is to take us what is it? Copy off a picture of that house. And this is where I'm going to go into next in terms of, copy off everything you possibly can. So this is the article that goes through how to preserve and protect paper, photos, how to catalog your keepsakes. So remember, Family Tree Magazine, search for this article. And so like you said, you see a blue link, click on it. Heirloom Inventory and History form, a free download. Free. What makes an heirloom? So that's what I say. You see, art, china and collectibles, furniture. Yeah, there for furniture. There are people who search for historical furniture, and look, there are quilts, instruments, clothing, military insignia. The reason why you are able to go into a museum, an historical society, archives, what have you, and see all of these types of items, people save them and then give them to organizations, historical societies and such, who are looking for that type of thing. Yes, I do have quilts that goes back into my grandmother's days. Yes, I do have, these items, these, some, collectibles and such. You never know until you go through and assess, oh, somebody may be interested in it. And then so this is an article that you want to explore on Family Search. I mean, on Family Tree. And oh, I'm not done yet. I'm gonna, like I said, it's gonna a lot of information. But one of the things I tell people is you're gonna have to clear a wall on your house. I have what you call a writing wall, a research wall. I know. I just took the pictures off, all of this sort of stuff. This is what I do. And I, well, what I really do, I have a, you can use these big Post-it sheets. You have these things where it glues onto the page, onto the wall or something. And so just like Post-it notes, but you have them as easel size. And then you can make notes on them. You can write notes. Go, okay, let me see. You write this name, write this name. And I use then the small Post-it notes to then add information. I need to search this. You have a question. I have color coded. It's a mess. It's crazy. And just if you're going to do this work, just give yourself the space and the time to just help have family members see what you're doing and even add into that information. In a family reunion, I would take these, what do you call it, big newsprint sheets to the family reunion. And I would say, I've already gone back into my family, my mother's side of the family, into the early 1800s. And with a name, and I have the children of, and then each page then becomes the child of that person. I mean, they're big sheets, and when it's laid out, people are seeing like, oh, look, let me add this. I color code them. And so the people are really adding their information. And I go, oh, okay, no, this person's name is such and such. And I go, is that their government name or their basket name? In Gullah Geechee culture, basket name is nickname. But, and I said, well, no, wait, that's their basket name. So no, their government name is, and I said, okay, write that down. All right. And so also, where did they live? Oh, that person, that live in, let's see, Tampa, Florida. Oh, I have a state. I have a location, because when you have a state, you have state records. You have Tampa, you have a city, you have county records, you have city records. So you have each one of these level of records to go through. And so that's why I say, clear a wall, find file folder system that you're going to use, get boxes, and it's genealogy, trying to find out all the stories of your family and such. It's going to take years. It takes years. I do have some resource books and such, and that I use as well. And I'm going to introduce you to those resources during the next session. But giving you an idea about how it is you need to then go move and use the documents, and just go ahead, find a room, a space in a room, a wall or something. And, just know that, you can get contributions or help from other family members who want to become a part of this journey. But it's a matter of, you're being patient with yourself. It's not going to be immediate. It's not going to just all of a sudden everything works out like, oh, okay, let me see. Why is this taking so long? Oh, well, that's the way it takes. But I collected some items from my family. I'm going to show you a couple of things from, I'm always, like I said, we're going to take a look at, yeah, this is, I compiled and did this little story thing using PowerPoint. And I'm going to show you what I did with this during the next session, because I turned this PowerPoint, 15 slides, into a little movie. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But you can see where, I want to show you. This is that house. Yes, that's the house I grew up in. And you see that as part of my logo now. And on my Finding Your Way Home, my mom and my dad, here, let me make this a little larger so you can see that. It's my mom and my dad holding my oldest brother. And these are friends, my uncle in the middle here, and best buddies and such. And they built this house. So, but what I want to also show you is, this is the inside of the house, some old pictures that I found. And it's amazing. I know the story of every item in this house. So yeah, old pictures. They tell you the story of a house. You see a picture, write down the information. It's like, oh, okay, I remember, remember those, the Frigidaire? That's a Frigidaire. We used to get the banana sticker thing, and we went and put little Chiquita banana stickers along the line, and just to decorate the refrigerator. Here's that same older brother. I mean, that baby who is now as this was taking place at age 25. And another view of the house. This is a shotgun. The 3 rows of rooms, living room, dining room, kitchen, and then connected the 3 bedrooms and a bathroom in the back. But you're telling the story of a house. And here are my parents. These are pictures from the albums. My father, before he even knew my mother, back in 43, World War II, he was in France. My mother, that's when she graduated from Penn School. And here they married, and then here are their 4 children. So I compiled this in a way so that I then use this, where next time I'm going to show you, like I said, how I turn this into a video that I share with family. But there they are. But my father, he was a builder, and my mother was the accountant. And there's a long process how they became that. but I found the book where my mother went and took a picture of every house. This is multiple pages, but I just flipped over one on the page and scanned it. I scanned it. Do not take the pictures out of anything, out of albums and such, especially if they're already plasticized or, you know, they're already, do not take the pictures out. Scan the page. This way, you know, you're protecting the actual pictures. If you want to, you know, a smaller item, you know, of just of a house, you can crop it using, you know, a little cropping tool that's available. But I have the details. My mother kept the details: location, when it was built, you know, when it was done, who owned it, who they built it for, all of these sorts of things. But one other thing that I found in a collection of documents, here she is in her, when she graduated from Penn School, I found in the documents, just in the house, in 1944, St. Helena Island had an observation post, and students were used as observers on the coast to make sure about German boats. Yes, there were German boats. They were coming up to the coast of South Carolina and Georgia. There was one that was even in a story you can find in, like, I think it's St. Mary's, in that area, where a German boat was bogged down. Anyway, the German boat was there. Something happened, and then the German soldiers had to come on shore and such. So yeah, there were sightings for German boat during World War II. Here's my mother's schedule. A piece of paper. So if there's just one piece of paper like this, you know there are a lot more. But this is a document that shows what happened and who was where. And I remember the names of some of these people as adults. So that's the thing that you're gonna end up finding and be able to, you know, trace the history. And this is another piece of paper that my mother found. My mother was sketching out the family tree. You see how, you know, she just like wrote notes. This is what you're going to end up doing. Just write a note. Okay, just mark things up. That's fine. Here she is, Edith Sumpter, my uncle and such. And then she just did the line. Okay. And then what she knew. And then all the way to then June Brown, she wrote. June Brown. I always thought, it says, who's June Brown? I had no idea June Brown. June Brown, it turned into, and I found Eliza, that name, much later, years after I found this document. This is 1984 when she wrote this, when she sketched this out. Eliza, the name Eliza turned up in this book, Tom B, which is for Tom B Plantation. The actual book for that Thomas B. Chaplin did an entire journal of when he then became, you know, inherited Tom B Plantation. And this was the book that was documented on the family life, and on page 712, I found Eliza confined. One thing, confined can be two things depending on your culture. Confined meaning you're about to give birth, and you're there confined, you know, about to give birth. On the plantation, confined also means that you are being watched until you give birth, so that you do not commit infanticide, so that you do not kill the commodity for the plantation owner, because that happened a lot. So you're confined and watched until you give birth, and that baby becomes a commodity for the plantation owner. And as long as that a mother does not kill that child, you know, then, you know, and that happened a lot. So confined means two different things depending on your circumstance. But here is my name, baby Prince. And if you look up, there's Eliza and there's Prince Brown. And then he then well, no, sorry, Prince Brown here, and married Martha Ann Brown. I have a name. Here is my direct line. Prince Brown, Eliza June Brown. And to this day, because Reconstruction, the Reconstruction era and the blueprint for Reconstruction, Beaufort District, which was the old Beaufort District, which is current day Beaufort County, Jasper County, and part of Hampton County, that area was captured and controlled in October 1861 by the Union military, the Army and Navy, and turned into a holding place. The only Union held location in the entire South. And that is where the plan for Reconstruction was created. Call it the blueprint for Reconstruction. The blueprint was implemented in Beaufort District. And that's why today you have Beaufort County has been designated as a National Historic District. And the entire county, and I'm always referencing to Jasper County. I did a lot of research and work with the elders and interviewed them and such in Jasper County, because I said, this is the origin space of Reconstruction as well. My June Brown, my great-great-great-grandfather and my great-grandfather, every person was able to buy land. I now own June Brown's land and Prince Brown's land on Tomby. I own the land. I made sure that I was able to keep that land as a legacy for what they endured. June Brown having been born enslaved, Prince Brown having been born enslaved, were able to buy parts of the plantation in which they were enslaved. And I own that still today. So find each piece of paper you possibly can. And, you try to use it as a source of information for what you can, how you can build your family story. So I know I'm going through a lot, but, just one more thing. Because it's about going to, what do you have? The Library of Congress information. And Library of Congress, as I said, is where you have all of the federal, all of the documents, the U.S. the newspapers directory and such. Remember that, but there is this one thing that you can click on in your workbook. And let me see if it comes up. Chronicling America. Newspapers. Let me make sure, let me see if it came up. Make sure I still have the share screen on that. All right, click on Chronicling America. Digitized newspapers, 1756 to 1963. Yes, digitized. And all you have to do is just go through and see whatever state, see if you can just, do a general search, enter in the search locations and names and such, see what shows up. And you can print the article. There were many in the 1800s. Virtually every ethnic group had their own newspapers. Black, German, indigenous, indigenous, Native Americans, if you want to use that term, Chinese, everyone. There are more newspapers in the 1800s than there were in the 1900s. And, there are even into the early 1900s, there were some newspapers went away by the 1900s, but they're available here. And you can go through and try to see what newspaper was in your area, like newspaper directory. You go through what newspaper was in your area, what county, what state, was there something that was specific, like the Atlanta, there's the Daily World, it was a Black owned newspaper that is just over 100 years old. You have information that you can find in this search. Look for a name. You can just search a name, and this is at one or more word searches. And how digital it works, because this is digitized, it will go to that name, that information, and it'll show you what. So Library of Congress is an amazing resource for a lot of materials. And okay, you're going to end up seeing, because I'm going to go to one other thing, and yeah, you're going to end up seeing my list of genealogy sites and such, because I want to go through and find a particular thing off of that, and it is the Sanborn. You see how much I have? Sanborn maps. And Sanborn maps, libraries and searches. Here, let me go through this Smithsonian Schomburg. While I see it, I'm going to go to the Schomburg. Schomburg is where you have, it is now Schomburg in New York City. Started. It's the New York Library, Public Library, now is connected with that to help to preserve it. Schomburg Center is a place that has all of, as many as possible, of Black-owned newspapers and documents and such centralized at the Schomburg in this research area. So just go to that if you Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, and see what shows up. You have photographs and prints. It's amazing, and you can go through library guides, the Schomburg library guides, to see what is there. But what I want to go back to in finding the additional document is on the Library of Congress, is what's called the Sanborn maps. And Sanborn map, when you find a particular location, is going to show you the actual layout of the, like I said, a lot of information. Oops, while I have it, I'm going to open up, because I want to show you Freedmen's Bureau. Click on it while you see it. And Freedmen's Bureau, sorry, I all of a sudden Sanborn map. Here I had it open, but once again, there, maps there. One of those things of, it's right in front of your face. And Sanborn. I'm doing a screen share now, and clicking okay. Clicking on and screen share. Sanborn maps. This Sanborn map is where you have fire insurance maps. Fire insurance maps that start in the late 1800s and goes into the 1900s. Now, let's see. I'm just going to go through because I know, and I'm just going to put Beaufort, South Carolina, because I know Beaufort. And just kind of give you an idea about what I'm talking about. When you find, oh, what are you talking about? Beaufort County. Let me just go into one of the images. When you find that information, oh man. All right. Okay, here we have, it took a little bit. Sanborn map, Beaufort, South Carolina. Let's go through, okay, 19, when they did that 1912. They are just, and I want to see downtown. I know that certain person lived or worked in such a place, worked on the, look at that, on the waterfront. This is every building, every business that you have, every item, you'll see the names. I know, look, the thing is that some of the names have already changed. This is downtown. There is no longer a Mason Street. There's no longer an Elkton Street. There is no longer Wilmington. So you'll see what streets may have been named at a certain place. This is, you know, if you've gone to onto the waterfront in Beaufort, here it is, and here is identifier for every building, and so you can see what building was where. Yeah, there's a furniture store, you know, a hay shed, oh, which meant there are horses, lumber. And so the Sanborn maps also give you an identification for items or places where a person may have been or worked or referenced. There's a garage. What kind of garage was that? Interesting. And I also see, oh, Beaufort County Jail. Wow, there's a county jail. Servants? Huh. What are they having servants? So this is just one Wasua. There is no such a name like that any longer. And then you can, you know, this has 13 maps for downtown at this location. So you can go and you know, find out where your folks lived and see if there is a Sanborn map. Well, you know, where they worked and such, and see if there's a Sanborn map for it. Probably, because there's an insurance map for everything. There's a church, there's a St. Helena Episcopal Church. Heat, has stoves, it has lights, electricity, you know, it gives you information. It gives you the information. The last item I'm going to fill you in on is going to be Freedmen's Bureau information. Now, let me go National Archives. Look at that, National Archives. Freedmen's Bureau. All of the information links to the Freedmen's Bureau that you can possibly, you know, think of. And the thing about the Freedmen's Bureau is, you know, a reconstruction, banking location. And during that, it had all of the bank accounts for every person newly freed, all of the people who would have a bank account. And I'm going to show you a map of all of the banks. And here's a map. You can find this map off of my website under genealogy, you know, suggested links under genealogy, and you can find this link and information. View maps. A bank account. Here are all the banks for build the Freedmen's Bureau map. All of the bank accounts. These are all of the banks it's going to build. And so in those banks, you'll have bank accounts for all the newly freed, of all the, you see it like the entire East Coast. You see all of the banks. See if there's a bank in your particular location. For any person who is in, you can tell, look at that in Georgia. I found a bank account listing for Prince Brown. See, you have all of this. Beaufort, South Carolina field office. And then, the field office is Mitchellville. Some people may have heard of Mitchellville, established in 1862. That's on Hilton Head. So, that's where you're going. You click on that and you can see the reference to the National Archives. And you can go through and you can find the role, the actual role for that location. I'm not going to go through that. I just wanted to show you how that worked. And so that's what you're dealing with in terms of the Freedmen's Bureau and any records and such. There is so much more. I mean, it's just the details of information. It's extensive, and it just takes, giving yourself the time to explore. I'm just, like I said, I'm just giving you just the starting point for you to try to figure out what. Nope, go back to the National Archives site, and the National Archives site, so I can show you that you see field office. Once again, you have all of these locations with field offices, and field offices also mean banks. And here we have, let me just go, South Carolina, and the listings. You can see series of catalogs, the field office, the listings. These are all of the file information. Look, oh wow, you know what? You can download it. Yes, it's a PDF. It's this one I clicked on, 82 pages. It gives you the details of that field office. It gives you all of the history, organization, everything that you can in terms of that field office from the that particular place. Gives you the stories, the background, and the history, because Beaufort County is where the Emancipation Proclamation was first read in the South in January. We know about Watch Night, Freedom Day, January 1st, 1863. You can, so that's the thing, is that here's the field, here's the information, all of these people, listed in terms of Reconstruction, all of the information, the background, and the dates that they were there managing, which location they're managers and commissioned. This is South Carolina's records. So when you go through and try to find additional information in the records and in the National Archives and the free, you look for contraband department, and that's where they'll list any of the names of the formerly enslaved, giving details, giving all of that information. Contraband department. Now, I'm going to stop there. And like I said, I know I have given a lot of information, and I said, take notes, and you see why I say take notes. But it's a matter of, I know I've been at it for well over an hour, and but it just give you just starter for these things. And in our next session, I'm going to show you how to make turn a lot of your information into storytelling elements, and that's what I've referenced in the workbook, what we're going to do in each one of these sessions. and how to archive, and then how to create a story for, a legacy for the story. And then I'm going to also have a guest, and we're going to talk about the information about DNA and genealogy. And so we'll see what happens in the next session. And we're going to now go into question and answer. And at this time, I'll just, I'll go, have Angel help us with the question and answer. So thank you.
All right. No, thank you, Dr. Sumpter, for such an amazing presentation with a wealth of information. Thank you for the links. We will try to put something together to make sure that we get those out to the attendees of this particular session and the previous session, because those are really good links. So thank you. That was a lot to take in. But I know if they were like me, they were taking notes and dragging information and making highlights, because it's really helping me in my personal journey. So thank you. And we will move right into questions. So I'm going to start with Ms. Sharon Stiles. She had a question regarding the family tree and using the family search tool. So there were a couple questions with that. Also about looking at transcribed documents versus comparing them to original documents. So Sharon, I will let you jump on and feel free to introduce yourself and your question. If you want. If you don't want, I don't want to force you, but feel free to take yourself off of mute. Or maybe I can assist. Well, if not, I'll ask it. So her question was, do you build a full tree in Family Search or just a skeleton tree? And have you had any issues with other people changing the data in your tree?
I only use Family Search and such just to find the documents. I copy off and I make my own hard copy at home. Excuse me. Because my knowing and understanding technology, anything can fail. Yeah. All of a sudden, excuse me, all of a sudden you have no access. So I don't depend on that online, unless it is that I'm sharing the information with someone else. I'm not sharing the information with anyone else. Nobody else wants to do what I'm doing. My family, they said, oh, you take care of it. Oh, okay. So I'll take care of it. I'm copying it off. I'm not leaving. That's why you only saw just the initial sketch of information, just so I can show you as a reference. But all my documents are on my computer or printed off. And then I can do my own, notebook sharing, that sort of thing. And then the thing that I also then, I want you to go to YouTube. Go to YouTube, and on YouTube there is a link there that is done from Family Tree, how to build a binder, and it shows you the ways to build a binder. I meant to reference that as well, but I mean, there's this, like I said, there's so much. So on YouTube, it is a and let me see if I can because I do have that. And so that no, I do not depend on on search on those things to keep I don't depend on online to keep my materials. And so you can, in fact, you can go to Family Tree, and like I said, do how to make a basic family history binder. There is a video that is also on YouTube, and it shows you how to make a binder. And you can come up with, and look, there's a printable guide. I usually go to Family Tree, search in and type that. And here is everything that you want to know about how to make this. And this is a video that'll show you how to do that. So genealogy binders and how to, and I hope that helps.
No, I think it does. And I think you kind of answered a question that you kind of use it, you use the information. So a bit of a skeleton, but to drop that into your overall binder and maybe using some of those links and those charts that you showed us. So thank you for that. And that was a great question that we could definitely share with everyone who will be viewing this session 2 video recording. But at this time, we are going to stop the recording so that we can dig deeper into some folks' questions.
Thank you.